With the incredible success of Marvel Studios and its immense portfolio of money-spinning movies, it's fun to look back to where it all started for the comic book giant when it came to the silver screen. Whilst Howard the Duck was an interesting first attempt to break into mainstream cinema, it was Blade's debut in 1998 that really caught everyone's attention. More than 20 years later, it is still considered a cult classic by many, with a distinct visual style and an incredible soundtrack that remains one of Marvel's best to this day. This led to a trilogy, of which 2 films are widely considered to still be up there as some of the most fun comic book movies ever made. Unfortunately, Blade hasn't seen quite the same success in video games. Whilst he does appear in some great games like Ultimate Alliance, those are ensemble games, where he plays a relatively minor role in the grand scheme of things. The games he headlines are mostly average at best. I say mostly because of the shockingly fun Game Boy Color version of Blade. Blade for the Game Boy Color was a strange one. Both it and its PlayStation bigger brother were released in 2000, a couple of years after the movie's theatrical release. It fell right in between the release dates of the first and second films. While the game clearly uses the film's visual style, it actually follows its own unrelated storyline. Blade's gameplay is broken up into 3 distinct styles. The majority of the game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, with a relatively simple but satisfying combat system that perfectly suits the basic controls of the Game Boy Color. You hunt vampires while exploring areas and uncovering plot points. One button is used for basic attacks, giving you access to different combos and targeted strikes when used in conjunction with the directional pad. The other is a block button that also provides access to special attacks, such as staking a vampire once it's dazed. This simple control scheme opens up a surprisingly engaging combat system, allowing for more complex functions like parries leading to unique combos, crowd control using throws, and even an unexpectedly satisfying version of Blade's jumping roundhouse. When things get hectic, pressing both buttons lets Blade throw his glaive across the screen, heavily damaging any visible enemies. Occasionally, the perspective will shift to be behind Blade, and the game will turn into a vampire-themed shooting gallery. You move a crosshair around the screen to take out enemies as they appear. A wrinkle is that you need to use a different button to shoot into the foreground or background, ensuring that you aren't able to just move the crosshair around the screen and hold down the button to pass the stage. Your special attack in these scenes is a powerful shotgun blast. Finally, boss fights return to the side view, but with a slightly different system of combat to the standard levels. Here, your movement is limited to a single screen, and takes on a feeling more like Street Fighter than Double Dragon. This is where you're able to draw Blade's sword for combat, ensuring fans of the movie get their fill of swashbuckling action. The game's main stages can be tackled in any order, with the story and difficulty changing slightly depending on the path you take. The game also works in Blade's dependency on Whistler's serum as a blood substitute, with a timer in each level counting down until Blade's bloodlust overcomes him, causing you to lose. The presentation of Blade is solid for a Game Boy Color game, with reasonably detailed sprites and backgrounds throughout each stage. Blade is particularly well done, with each attack featuring distinct animation that looks quite good for the handheld. The limited use of colour is also effective, clearly distinguishing the foreground sprites from the background objects, and ensuring that it's easy to follow the action despite the small screen. The music and sound effects are, well, Game Boy Color-esque. Best to put the film soundtrack on in the Discman and listen to that while you play instead. In all, Blade's portable adventure is a startlingly good game and a fun diversion to have on hand for those extended trips. It's a shame that Blade's outings on more powerful systems failed to meet the same standard as the handheld version. Perhaps Marvel will see fit to revisit the character when the new film finally lands. Until then, this is another good reason to keep fresh batteries in your Game Boy Color.